Good morning, boys and girls. So today we're going to talk about finding patterns with decimals. So we're going to use skills like adding and subtracting decimals that we've already learned and put them to use to figure out patterns. We're going to do 3 simple patterns together, and then you're going to have a couple patterns to solve on your own on Wiser, and you're either going to tell me the rule for the pattern or fill in the missing number. The 3 that we're going to do together, we're going to have to find out the rule in order to fill in the missing number. So let's get started. You can see that I have a group of numbers here. I have 12.3, 13.3, blank, and 15.3. And I'm sure in your mind, some of you already filled in that blank, right? Well, we're going to figure out how to solve it if it's not quite as easy as this first one, okay? So the first thing I do is I find the relationship or the pattern between each of my numbers. So I ask myself, am I increasing, going up, or decreasing, going down between 12.3 and 13.3? I'm going up, so I know that I'm adding a certain amount. I need to figure out what amount. The way I can do that is I can subtract 12.3 from 13.3, just like I have set up right here in my problem, and solve to see. So we know that 3 minus 3 is 0. Got to bring down that decimal. 3 minus 2 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So all that is just 1. It's just 1. It looks a little funny because I have 0, 1.0, but as many numbers that are in front of my whole number or behind the decimal, as many zeros as I have, it doesn't change the value. So that's just 1. That tells me that I added 1 to 12.3 in order to get 13.3. So in order to find my next number, guess what? I'm just going to add 1 to 13.3. I know 3 plus 0 is 3. Bring down my decimal. 3 plus 1 is 4, and 1 plus nothing is 1. So guess what that number in that blank is going to be? 14.3. And just to check, you could look and say 14.3 plus 1 is 15.3. So that tells me I solved my pattern correctly. Alrighty, let's try our second one. Am I increasing or decreasing is my first question. That's right, I'm decreasing. I go from 27.23 or 27 and 23 hundredths to 27 and 3 hundredths. So in order to figure out how much I'm decreasing by, I am going to subtract. You can kind of see it on the screen. What numbers am I going to subtract? That's right, 20. Oh, look, I have 22. We're going to do 27.23 minus 27.03. Always start on the right. 3 minus 3 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down that decimal. 7 minus 7 is 0, and 2 minus 2 is 0. How much did I decrease by? 0.20 or 20 hundredths. So now I'm going to take my number 26 and 83 hundredths because that is my next number in my pattern, and I'm going to subtract 20 hundredths in order to solve my pattern. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I have, like we see here, 26 and 83 hundredths minus 20 hundredths, I start on my right. 3 minus 0 is 3. 8 minus 2 is 6. I bring down that decimal. 6 minus 0 is 6, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So the next number in my pattern would be 26 and 63 hundredths. I'm subtracting 0.20 each time I move to another number in my pattern. All right, we've got this last pattern to solve together. Am I increasing or am I decreasing? I'm decreasing, that's right. How am I going to solve or figure out how much I'm decreasing by? That's right, guys. 25 and 64 hundredths minus 24 and 10 hundredths. So let's see if we can do that. See if you can do it in your head while I'm getting our ink ready. Awesome job, guys, because 4 minus 0 is 4, 6 minus 1 is 5. Can't forget to bring down that decimal. 5 minus 4 is 1, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So we are decreasing by 1 and 54 hundredths each time. What number am I going to subtract 1 and 54 hundredths from in order to find that number that's missing in my pattern? That's right, guys, 24 and 10 hundredths, and I'm subtracting 1 and 54 hundredths because that's how much I'm decreasing each time in my pattern. Well, 0 minus 4, I can't do it, so my 0 needs to become a 10, and I'm taking away from my 1, which will become a 0. So 10 minus 4 is 6. Okay, my 1 just became a 0. I can't do 0 minus 5, so my 4 right here is going to become a 3. Sorry guys, my pen's not working. I'm just having to type. So if you're writing on paper, you can go ahead and write that we're borrowing, but we're just going to have to keep track of this in our head, which is a little confusing, but that's okay. All right, so my 4 becomes a 3. We already said my 1 is a 0, so I'm bringing 10 over. What's 10 plus 0? 10. And 10 minus 5 is 5. Bring down that decimal. Remember, we borrowed from that 4 and it became a 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. Uh-oh, I moved my decimal. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So what is the next number in my pattern? 22 and 56 hundredths. And if you wanted to check your answer, you could take 22 and 56 hundredths and subtract 1 and 54 hundredths. So we can do that. 6 minus 4 would be 2. 5 minus 5 would be 0. We would bring down our decimal. 2 minus 1 would be 1, and 2 minus 0 would be 2. So that tells us that we filled in that number correctly, because when we subtracted the number we got, 22 and 56 hundredths, we subtracted 1 and 54 hundredths from that, we got the next number in our pattern. So I hope this helps you figure out how to determine the next number in a pattern with decimals. It's just like if you had a normal pattern with normal numbers, except there's decimals, and we've already talked about how as long as you stack those decimals on top of each other and then drop it straight down, you will be good to go. If you have any questions, please let me know, guys. I cannot wait to see you on tomorrow for our next lesson. Have a great day.